Hello, welcome again to the channel. Today I want to share with you this information related to China. It's about this recent speech from Anthony Blinken in relation to China, and what he was saying is that from the point of view of the United States, China poses a greater long-term threat than Russia. And what the main thing is that he says that the US is very concerned about the ability of China to challenge the US led international order, whatever that means. So Blinken says that China is the administration's top priority despite all the support the US is giving to Ukraine in its fight against Russia. And the most serious long term challenge to the international order is posed by the People's Republic of China. Blinken says that China is the top threat because it is the only country with both the intent to reshape the international order and increasingly the economic, diplomatic, military, and technological power to do it. So that's exactly what we were discussing in our most recent video. That because China's GDP, which is a representation of their economic power, they have the ability to have power in other areas, not just in the diplomatic, but also in the military, technological power, and they don't like it, even if they attribute negative intent to China, which has never been patently, you know, displayed anywhere. They are just concerned that China is able to challenge the future power or the intentions of the U.S. Because that's what it is. Who is the country that has been shaping the world in its own desire? That's the US, and they don't like the even the possibility that China will be able to challenge that order. They call it the international order, but that is just the US concept of what it is, the international order. Not that it is the desire of everyone in this planet to be defined by US concept. So this is exactly what is being talked about here. And Biden has continued Trump's China policy by maintaining the tariffs that Trump set, increasing U.S. military presence in the South China Sea, and stepping up support for Taiwan, as we have recently heard from speeches from the Biden administration. And they have the recent AUK-US military pact with Britain and Australia, these new anti-China initiatives with the Quad countries, this new trade deal for the region known as the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework or IPEF, and the recent pledge by Biden to intervene militarily if China invades Taiwan. So the list goes on and on. But conversely, we haven't seen anything coming from China, so they are acting and reacting in what is called preemptive way. But China hasn't displayed anything of the attributes that they say they have done. There is this article here. I will link it in the area, but you can try to find it out if you don't have access to this link. And this is mentioning um, and displaying some of the military bases that here they display the US military bases as and how they are surrounding China. You know? They're also surrounding Russia. If you can see it here in this area, the left of the map. So they're surrounding Russia. All here in the Middle East, this is intended for Russia, and part of this is intended for China. So the South Pacific and all this area, that is the area where it is Indonesia and Japan, South Korea, Australia. All these bases are aimed at containing China's power, China's race. And what it is, this is the bigger version of the same map, so it is a little bit more clear. And the main thing is that they consider China a threat, and they want to promote military cooperation with Asian allies to create a trusted deterrent to China. And this article goes on to mention all the different bases, at least some of the most important ones, especially the ones in Japan, um, in Guam, South Korea, and this this region here is the region that they mention here, that is the Malay Peninsula. So the Malay Peninsula is this area here where they are acting in a very aggressive way, setting up all these military bases. And they mention here something that is called the Pamadan Command, how they requested 27 billion funding for military. And if you haven't heard of that, here is an article that talks in more detail about that. How the Indo-Pacific commander delivers 27 billion plan to Congress, and they are sketching a budget that goes from 2022 out to 2027, and they're mentioning in a very very aggressive way. It's very detailed, this article, and they talk about all the different things they want for uh, like a Christmas list of all the weapons and systems they want to have in place for the Indo-Pacific region, and how they want to have what they call the Pacific Deterrence Initiative. And they say US requires highly surveyable precision strike networks along the first island chain, featuring increased quantities of ground-based weapons. These networks must be operationally decentralized and geographically distributed along the Western Pacific archipelagos using service agnostic infrastructure, which is a very kind of elegant way to just say that they want to have as many possible strike points around China, so that they can strike China from different angles, from different vectors. And if China wants to strike back, they will have to strike in many many locations, making it more difficult for China to strike back, making it more difficult for China to defend itself. That's what all this rhetoric means, really. And they go into some detail about the different places where they have this kind of equipment, this sort of installation, like some recently in Palau. And they have considered this a strategic location. But if China does some kind of military alliances with nations in the Pacific, they consider it a threat, but if they do it, for them it's just defense, So this is how they twist language for their own interest. Here they said here in this article, it says we must convince Beijing that the cost to achieve its objectives, but military force are simply too high, and they have this section here. Yeah, here they says that the goal is to disperse troops across multiple locations on multiple islands, providing the Chinese military with a range of hard to find targets, ensuring any one strike will impact only a small part of the force. That's exactly what I was mentioning. So this article goes into great detail. So if you're interested in this, uh, pay attention to this information. And the whole relevance of this thing is how to the US, the nightmare became when Russia and China started working together. So now their two biggest threats become one, and that's what is called unintended consequences. They probably wouldn't have wanted China to cooperate closely with one of the biggest sources of materials, raw materials, and because Russia has so many natural resources, and even if let's say the GDP of Russia is not so significant, yes, the fact that Russia is so big, it comes as a big threat to the US. And as you have been able to see, the advance of Russia in Ukraine has been relentless, and they don't like it. They don't like it a bit. The military power of Russia is not only the Russian nuclear power, but also the ground forces, which are formidable as has been shown in the terrain. So they don't like that. China's military has been very, very defensive, but recently has become slowly more able to project power, at this point regional power in the South China Sea mainly. So they don't like the ability of China to defend itself, and they don't like the fact that now they have this unlimited partnership with Russia. So that's what this is all about, really. And it's no surprise all the aggressive rhetoric against China and against Russia, and now they have their wishes granted. The two of them working together. So that's it for now, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments if you want. And as always, I ask you to please like the video, share this video in social media, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for watching.